Hello and welcome to the Youth Hour. We thank you on this Sunday for opening up your hearts and homes to us. Again, the Youth Hour is a youth-led radio broadcast focusing on issues important to Eritrean youth all around the world. This is, you could say, a program of youth, by youth, and for youth, where we not only have discussions on relevant topics, but also do our best to spotlight youth who are doing big things, and you're going to hear a little bit about that today. How's it going, Philmon?
Pretty good. How's everybody doing? It's a great Sunday today in Dallas.
Kind of dreary too, right?
The weather is foggy, but yesterday was sunny, but it's just changing every day.
Yep, absolutely. So I think before we get started, we have a few announcements, and I'll read a quick few of them. Obviously, this is the 24th anniversary of Operation Fenkil, which we will get into later on in the broadcast. And it is also this past week, on February 6th, was the International Day of Zero Tolerance on FGM. FGM is female genital mutilation. A big issue in the past, and it's the steps we are taking to treat the issue and prevent the issue from happening in the future. It's obviously an issue of big importance in Eritrea, right, Philmon?
Holds women from making progress in society within Eritrea, even just the region. So cutting down and tackling this issue of FGM is definitely necessary at this moment.
Absolutely. And so taking it to some local announcements, I believe you had a few things you wanted to talk to us about, right, Philmon?
Yes, Eritrean-American rapper Nipsey Hussle was in Dallas yesterday, and I happened to stop by and check out the concert. And also there was various Eritrean youth from the Dallas and Fort Worth that came to support him. Mm-hmm. It was a big event. What happened was on stage, there was three Eritrean girls on stage. They had the Eritrean flag to make sure, to represent. So it was great to see them, to show their pride on stage.
Wow. And I think before we continue, we actually have a small clip of one of the songs played by Nipsey.
Yeah, this was one of the popular. This is a popular song that on stage he was playing. It was very nice.
Okay. This is Check Me Out featuring Kabi Supreme and Dom Kennedy.
It's really what it is. Yeah. New Nipsey Hussle. Check me out. You in trouble. Check me out. Pay us now. Check me out. Or pay me double. Check me out. New Nipsey Hussle. Check me out. New Nipsey Hussle. Check me out. New Nipsey Hussle.
That was Check Me Out by Nipsey Hussle featuring Cop Supreme and Dom Kennedy. So give us a little breakdown. How was the concert?
It was great. He played all his he has the Crenshaw mixtape right now. Mm-hmm. All his big hits.
Mm-hmm. And give us a brief overview. What's happening with the Crenshaw mixtape, and what were some of the I know we noted earlier, I think in the program a few maybe weeks ago, about like just the great sort of business mindset that Nipsey has.
He's definitely shaking the industry, and he has gotten a lot of media attention about his the mixtape and the way he's releasing it. He's charging $100 for the mixtape, the Crenshaw mixtape.
$100?
$100. So you got
who could afford that?
He's got the attention of Jay-Z and all these big time producers, big time people within the hip hop industry.
Okay, but mixtapes are, if they're underground, they're usually free. But also albums, go from maybe like $12-13 a pop.
Yeah.
So what do you get with the $100 package?
The difference within Nipsey Hussle, the way he's marketing this, you pay $100, you get the CD without the DJ drama introduction and every sound within the free mixtape. So you get the concert for free. You get to meet him backstage. So pretty much it's a great package. It's very innovative on his part, business-wise.
Okay, so obviously we know he's a great business mind, so that's a great plug, I think, for entrepreneurialism in the Eritrean community. But you mentioned that, there was a lot of Eritrean pride happening on display at the concert last night, right?
It was great. We got to see a big name, the local rapper, Nahum. He was on stage with him. Mm-hmm. There was other rappers as well. It's great to see the local, Eritreans doing something positive on stage like that.
Absolutely. And for those of y'all who don't know, obviously Nipsey Hussle is his stage name, is his rapper name. His real name is Ermias Askodom.
That's
just
correct.
So that we all know, and so our parents' generation knows that he's really Eritrean. He is someone, I think we talked about this before on the broadcast. He's somebody that is quite proud of his Eritrean heritage, and I think he's half African American, half Eritrean, right?
That's correct. Yeah.
Okay.
He's gone back home in 2004. He's not hiding where he's from. He tells people he's Eritrean. The Breakfast Club interview, the Hot 97 interviews. So this guy, what it helps the youth listen in and just say, "Oh, he's Eritrean. Wow, okay, I like this guy."
Absolutely. And I think, also is that when you think about all these big artists that come from different communities who come up, it's not I think you made a very interesting point earlier is that, Nipsey doesn't hide who he is. And I think some artists, in order to get to the mainstream, in order to get notoriety across the States or maybe even in Europe, tend to hide certain aspects of their identity, right? Or
Definitely.
at least don't talk about it in the same way they talk about, things, whether it's like the way they grew up and all that, but they don't talk about their identity that much.
There is the negative stigma of saying you are African, but he just doesn't care, and he just says where he's from. And you see, like, people within our community that do that, where they Americanize their name because of their, either their shame or they just want to get their resume out at work or their professional endeavors. It's understandable, but it's just you have to just keep your name and be prideful where you come from.
Absolutely, absolutely. And Nipsey is definitely one of those types of people. So you said there was a lot of Eritrean pride on stage last night. You said folks were, hurling flags up.
Yeah.
You said there was one person on stage who got up on stage with like an Eritrean shirt on or something like that?
Yeah, it was a girl. She had the I think it was the Eritrean flag. It was great.
That's excellent. That's excellent. I think you had on a T-shirt, and I think it's a timely T-shirt.
Yeah.
And I think you had some white people that came up to you and ask you about it. Can you describe that for us?
We were in line, and there was I was wearing the Eritrean. It was a sweater that has the word Eritrean on there, and it had the famous picture of the soldier and the Ethiopian soldiers giving up and the hands up in the ocean, and he's the only one looking at them. So it was an epic picture. So I had that on my sweater printed out. And I came to the concert to just show my pride. And people were asking, "What is that? What are those soldiers doing?" So, but it was the Operation of Massawa, the liberation of Massawa. That
Operation
picture,
Fenkil.
Yeah, famous picture.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think it's very timely, obviously, because as we all know, and as our listeners, I'm sure know, this is the 24th anniversary of Operation Fenkil. It was a military operation on our part that happened from February 8th through 10th in 1990 and was a critical turning point in the war for independence. So just wanted to point out that anniversary. But before we go in depth into that anniversary, we did want to take a few minutes out to talk about a very interesting update that happened today. I think when you think about Operation Fenkil, it's very noteworthy in terms of its the importance that we convey upon it as far as its role in bringing the war to a decisive end and opening up the way for a free and eventually prosperous Eritrea. And I think our president, Isaias Afwerki, talked about that earlier today in a speech, in an interview he gave on Eri TV. Philman, I believe you were watching it, right?
Yeah, I caught the interview, the interview midway on eastafro.com. What really was interesting for me was his point on South Sudan, and then his what he was mentioning Mankar, and then how corrupt he is, how corruption within SPLM is wide. I mean, he was basically stating the truth, but the truth really, some people don't want to hear it. But overall, in addition to that, what really was interesting was the fiber optic conversation. He mentioned that there is progress on that. There's plan to have it implemented, I guess, but that's so much. That was just a small announcement on the interview.
Absolutely, and I think that was a very interesting point in the sense that, and we actually talked about it in a past broadcast very recently about the importance of IT and coordinated IT policy in Eritrea, especially in the coming years, and how important it is, like you always stated, in terms of education and for the youth.
Yeah, I think that interview. I mean, that point about the fiber optic, he made a point that the internet, the focus should be on development. As I stated in the past, so. He's keeping it consistent on the point about development and the need for a fiber optic. It's going to happen.
Absolutely, absolutely. And, that wasn't the only, obviously, critical announcement that he gave in that interview. I think there were quite a few others just within the framework of development alone that happened. Everything from talking a little bit about the priorities of agriculture and manufacturing and mining. He spoke a little bit about the various sort of aspects of progress that we have made in our development of a manufacturing industry, everything from the cement factory, Gedem, to some of the other various manufacturers that we've set up around the country.
Another announcement on the interview that was making headways online is the fact that he mentioned the negotiation with the Ethiopian regime, and that was big. He said we're not going to do it. He feels sorry for them. But I understand his position on that. You can't negotiate on the EEBC ruling, you know. So
Absolutely,
good job on that, Mr. President.
Absolutely. And I think it's, I think oftentimes the Western media tends to paint, because he says things so decisively.
Yeah.
And I think it's an important thing, because our perspective is one that, while a lot of people believe in it, it's not one that's trumpeted a lot in the international community.
No, it isn't.
And so decisiveness on his part and on the government's part, I think it's very critical.
He speaks his mind.
Exactly. But if you take a look at how, the Western media usually encapsulates that and portrays that decisiveness, it's usually not in the most flattering form, right?
No, it isn't.
And I think, that is always done without a lot of context as to what the situation is like in the Horn of Africa, and what the situation is like in Ethiopia, and the legitimacy of various governments in the Horn of Africa. And I think part of the analysis that the president, that the government, that many of us also see, is that it's hard to negotiate with a government, A, that is continuing to occupy the territory and refuses to give up, but also B, is one that, as far as legitimacy amongst its own people, you're seeing protests every day. You're seeing protests from all variety of ethnic groups. And in terms of just how fed up people are, it's, you always have to factor that into your analysis as well.
Who's to know that there is pressure within the country that they are looking to negotiate, to free up the North camp, all the soldiers from the North, and take it somewhere else. So overall, the position we have right now, that is the perfect. Just keep it consistent. Don't negotiate. As long as they withdraw from the territory, that's it. That's
Absolutely. Perfect. And I think, along those same lines of foreign policy and differing perspectives on foreign policy, he actually commented on some of the recent articles that were put out online by people like Ambassador Cohen and others, and other foreign policy officials from sort of past American endeavors in the Horn of Africa. And he really just kind of scoffed at the idea that Eritrea is isolated, because if you look at our relationships with China, with various countries in Asia, with various countries in Europe, it is very clear that we have strong relationships with many countries around the world that have benefited us, especially in terms of foreign investment.
Yeah, this is something you can do by yourself, research online, and find out this is not some crazy made-up story, that we have diplomatic connection with nations around the world. This is not something made up. But overall, the point on South Sudan, going back to the issue, we support at this moment President Salva Kiir, and the Americans support him, and the region support him. But there was a moment within the Ethiopian regime trying to make it seem we are supporting Machar, the rebel leader. So that was interesting. He inserted that point about we support, there was implicit point about, supporting Salva Kiir and over Machar.
Absolutely. And I think that the government's position on South Sudan, alongside its position on its relationship with other countries in the Horn of Africa, is very clear that it's based on the principles that, helped to found Eritrea. Yeah. Right, the principles of pursuing social justice, of pursuing peaceful, impartial relations with the countries of the Horn of Africa in a way that benefits everyone collectively. And so when you have things like corruption internally and various other factors, even in Ethiopia and South Sudan, that kind of tug away at those ideals, then certain policy positions are maintained. So great interview overall, and I think it was very informative for a lot of people around the world who just wanted to get clarification as well as understand better and feel invigorated by the position of the Eritrean government.
Part 2 should be interesting.
Absolutely. And so going back to the anniversary of Fenkil, we wanted to briefly talk about its significance for us as Eritreans. Philemon, how do you feel when you think about this weekend?
It's pretty it's impactful. It's emotional. Looking at the videos, old videos, historical videos of the operation and leading up to the success of just liberating Massawa.
Absolutely. And in terms of its overall greater significance, I mean, obviously, it was a decisive battle, a decisive turning point. And I use turning point loosely because it was a turning point in the sense that it was a decisive outcome that shaped the rest of the war. But we were already at a point where we were, quite victorious. We had liberated a large amount of other cities, including, I will pull this up, including towns like Alphabet, including towns like Tesene, Barentu, as well as Agordat and various other towns as well.
Yeah.
Closer inland. So this was already a point where we were already way ahead.
Yeah, the Derg regime was weakening. We're chasing them. We cornered them. Massawa was the last city that we need to liberate. But the significance of the Massawa liberation, the Fenkil operation, is basically the international community recognized the efforts of the liberation movement and how serious it is by the military victory.
But even though, I think that it was an internal de facto recognition, right? Like they couldn't ignore the facts on the ground, right?
Yes.
But I think that even when you think about de jure or like what is put out on policy papers or what is put out on UN announcements or announcements by the Department of State spokesperson or in the White House or Defense, it's very critical to understand that even after that point, literally until military victory on the ground was secured and the referendum happened, the United States, other countries were not talking about a free Eritrea or coming in on the side of Eritrea. It was still a battle that we were fighting alone till the very end.
You can definitely see it in the media report. They call it secessionists and civil war. So that indicates that they really want to see Eritrea as some type of providence or something similar along the line of Somalia land or something like that.
Absolutely. And before, we actually have a video clip from a broadcast in 1990 of the bombings that happened post-Operation Fenkil that we want to play for our listeners. But before we get into that, I do want to read a few facts just so our listeners kind of put Operation Fenkil into context. Just a few facts on how our win is broken down. So in addition, obviously, to winning the entire battle, we got brought into custody 8,000 Ethiopian soldiers. We captured 80-plus tanks, 7 rocket launchers, 6 heavy machine guns, 10 anti-tank missiles, 2 large warships, right, for a fledgling navy on our end that was literally maintained by speedboats, the kind of speedboats that usually are designed to catch fish, but had literally a machine gun placed on them. We were able to capture 2 large warships. Taking a step back, in addition to that, after we won the war, what we saw were serial bombings, consecutive bombings from the Ethiopian Air Force. The last form of superiority they had was in the air with their Air Force that was really all MiG fighter jets donated by Russia.
Just definitely, you can what happened in Massawa, you can definitely see how the Derg regime at its last breath was becoming more has no morals. It was committing low-level genocide on the civilians.
Absolutely,
it's definitely a character of a weak generals and weak-minded leadership. They would harm the civilian instead of attacking the soldiers. Absolutely.
And you know what, just to give our listeners some context as to what the Ethiopian leadership was thinking at that time, Mengistu, after Operation Fenkil, said, and I quote, this is Mengistu's actual words, "Massawa fell under the bandits. They grabbed our throats. The survival of the Second Revolutionary Army is threatened." Just to give you a clear indication there.
Delusions to the end.
Delusions, right? Still using the term bandits, right? Like this is the 1960s. Also, to give you guys some background, a lieutenant colonel who fought in that battle, Elsa Michael, said that, amongst other things, said that in the planning of the operation, the offensive was launched with full confidence and everybody was convinced that victory was inevitable. So our soldiers were going into this not really afraid of the possibility of losing the battle, but actually fully convinced that their tactics and strategy were going to work out against Ethiopia's superior technological might.
It was very executed by the liberation struggle. The military leadership, the generals, mapped out very well.
Absolutely. And before we go into the video, last thing I wanted to, and I know we're taking a little bit of time, but I just wanted to stress this because it's actually a very interesting point, and you're going to like this, especially Philmon, is that the same Colonel Habte Mikhail said that on the 14th of February, this is post-Operation Fenkil, this is during the sort of serial bombing by the Ethiopian Air Force, that on the 14th of February, a U.S. ship came to the aid of Ethiopian forces, but was compelled to run back when chased by the small boats of the EPLF. Right, and this is something that's not in the record books. This is not something that is taught about in U.S. military history.
Interesting.
This is not a very publicly known fact, but on our side, we have the evidence here. So we will go into a report by Peter Jennings of ABC in 1990 describing the bombing of Massawa. Some of this is particularly graphic in terms of the audio, so just be warned of that.
For the first time in a long time, pictures of a war which has been fought largely out of sight in Ethiopia. We have seen the devastation of famine on the people there. These pictures taken by a freelance Canadian photographer show the equally devastating effects of civil war. ABC's Karen Burns, who's visited Ethiopia numerous times, put this report together.
This is the aftermath of a cluster bomb attack. Cluster bombs explode horizontally and are designed only to injure people. They have allegedly been sold to the Ethiopian government by the Israelis, a charge that the Israelis deny. They are used by the Ethiopian government against its own citizens.
There is no point in bombarding this town except unless you want to kill children and women.
The most recent battle here in Massawa, a key port city attacked by the Ethiopian government, trying to dislodge Eritrean rebels who hold the port. Here in the north, in the province of Eritrea, rebels have been fighting for 30 years to gain their independence from the Ethiopian government. Over the years, the rebels have evolved from a highly trained force into one that many believe is now winning the war. The Ethiopian government is getting desperate. There are now 35,000 Ethiopian prisoners of war. This captured Ethiopian general says that the Eritrean pressure may yet break the back of the Ethiopian government.
And I don't think the central government can handle it anymore, unless and otherwise they start negotiation very soon. The war is almost being over now.
A State Department official called this war possibly the largest and most destructive conflict in the world today. We have seen Ethiopia's famine. Now we are seeing Ethiopia's genocide. Karen Burns, ABC News.
That was a report by Peter Jennings and Karen Burns back in 1990, describing some of the atrocities you saw post-Operation Fenkil.
It was very graphic. If you see it, there's a video clip online. If you look up Massawa Operation, you'll find it. But overall, a few things I want to just say about this video. It mentioned civil war, secessionist movement. These are wrong terms to describe our struggle.
Absolutely.
It's an anti-colonial movement, meaning you have a foreign invader within our country. This is not a civil war. There's no such thing as a civil war between the Ethiopian regime and us. So
Absolutely.
I want to get that straight.
Absolutely. And, you know, like we always say, right, you know, the Western media will always portray it as something different than what it is on the ground. And I think you bring up very good points there, and it's important for our people to get conscious on how to talk about these, our history. So moving forward to today, I think obviously the reason why Operation Fenkil happened was to liberate Eritrea, and now we are at a stage in our own history, especially as a young generation, of continuing that legacy in the form of developing Eritrea and building it and building our communities and building our pride in our country.
Before we bring on the Hidri members to speak about their experience, we have to definitely mention that the benefit dinner is coming up is on the February 15th. It will be located at the Grand Hotel, 7815 LBJ Freeway, Dallas, Texas. If you haven't gotten your ticket, contact Fanan Rousseau, the coordinator, or just find them on Facebook, Dallas Hidri Chapter.
Excellent, excellent. And we now have... I'm very excited for this film because these are we've been wanting to do this for a long time, and these are 4 people who are active in Hidri, and they do so much in the community. You've seen it, I've seen it, and we've just been trying to get them on the air for a while, so we're very happy to have them on. I'll bring them on right now. Hey guys, Hidri members, you are on the air. Say hello to myself, Alex, and Filmon's here as well.
Hello, guys.
Hi.
There's no excitement in your voices at all. Can we get an excited hello?
You got to get louder.
Hi.
Okay, so for those of our listeners who didn't hear this before, we now have our 4 Hidri members on the air. Hidri members, can you guys just go around the line and say your names and where you're from and just whatever introductions you want to make?
Yeah, my name is Abel Dubresky. I'm 18 years old. I've been in Hidri for 2 years now.
Excellent, excellent.
Yeah.
Hi, my name is Evan, and I'm 17 years old, and I've been a Hidri member for 1 year.
Okay, great. Glad to have you on.
Okay, I'm Sihan Faniel. I've been in Hidri for 3 years, and I go to Plano East High School.
Plano East. So, yeah, where do you guys go to high school for our local listeners?
Yeah, what grade are you guys in?
I'm in 12. I'm a senior, and I'm also at Lake Highlands High School.
Okay.
I'm a junior at Berkner High School.
Okay. Okay.
I'm a senior. I already said I went to Plano, and I'm 17.
Yeah, we got that clear. Plano East. Gotcha.
And I'm Alvel Girmay. I'm 16, and I go to Lakeview.
Excellent, excellent. So, we have you guys on today to talk a little bit about Hidri and also to announce an upcoming event, the benefit dinner next week, and whatever you guys want to announce for the long term. So I guess San or whoever wants to answer, what for our listeners who don't know, because Hidri is a group that got started over these past few years, especially in Dallas, and we have listeners from all around the world who are tuning in. So can you tell our listeners, for those who don't know, what exactly is Hidri? What's the purpose?
Okay, so basically Hidri, all across the board, it's an organization formed as a training ground to create a strong, conscious, and patriotic youth that can play leadership roles in their communities, both like in their cities and as well like doing stuff to help out in Eritrea as well. Its mission is to educate young Eritreans about community organization, civic duty, and also social responsibility.
Okay, excellent, excellent. Anyone wanted to add anything to that? That was a very well put answer.
I think she got it.
Yep, definitely.
Yeah, she got it.
Absolutely, absolutely. So what do you all do in Hidri? Everything from events, programming. What do you guys do?
Well, basically, we do a lot of community service, not only for, the Eritrean community, but, like, just the local community around here. And we also take annual retreat trips during the spring. We also have a Big Brother, Big Sister program, basically a college prep. And
well, we also do car washes and various fundraisers throughout the year in addition to our benefit dinner.
Okay, excellent. So one program that really stands out in my mind, and I think it's a great idea, and I think it's been done maybe in one or two other places across the country, but I think Dallas just does a really good job of managing it and growing it, is the Big Brothers, Big Sisters Mentor Program. Could one of you guys describe for our listeners what exactly that is? I think anybody in America knows what Big Brothers Big Sisters is from the actual the American organization, but what does this mean to you guys? What is it?
Okay, so basically Big Brother Big Sister here in Dallas, we do various activities, whether it's come from guest speakers who have gone through the college process and experience, who are professionals, come in to talk to us about exactly what we need to be doing to get to where they are. It also does SAT prep, like Abel mentioned earlier. Yeah, it's a very good program.
We have college trips, too.
Wow. Okay, so what kind of college, where have you guys been as far as college visits?
We've been to A&M, right?
Yeah, Texas A&M.
That's great, and so I'm sure more to come. And it's so critical, especially in regards to the SATs. I don't know if you remember taking your SATs film on, but
it was definitely a challenge studying for it.
You need all the help you can get on that. I'm sure. Have you guys all? I think maybe about half of you have taken your SATs, or
yeah, we're taking this year.
Taking it this year? Okay, you guys studying?
Yeah, kind of.
Don't lie, it's okay.
Yeah, the most important thing about our Big Brother Big Sister program here is that it's a free resource. You don't have to pay to take a $1,000 SAT prep course, and you can still get like all the information you need to succeed, which I think is really cool.
Interesting. Good point.
That's amazing. That's pretty cool. You're absolutely right. You think about the Princeton Review SAT prep course, that's like $1,000. Even like my own high school, when I went to that review course, was like $40. So how, if people want to get involved, and we're kind of straying from some of the questions we wanted to ask you, but if people want to get involved in Hidri in some of these programs, what can they do?
Well, they should just contact one of somebody like Finan and ask her about more information about Hidri.
Yeah, you can also.
We have a registration date.
Oh, you guys have an open registration date?
Recruitment for every year is normally in August. We always advertise when that's going to be. We give them about 2 to 3 weeks in advance notice. If they want to know more about Hidri itself, they can go to our website, hidridallas.org, or they can email hidri.dallas@gmail.com for more information.
At this moment, how many members do you guys have in total?
40.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's huge. That's huge. That's a lot to manage too.
Yeah.
As far as like, and this is really, we're pitching these questions, guys, just because we want to make sure that our listeners who have kids know that this is a great program, and you know it doesn't take a lot to join. So, someone you want to ask a question?
Definitely. You guys have a requirement for joining Hidri. What is the requirement? Do you guys interview the people? That's what I've heard, but what is the process do you guys, as far as having new members come in?
There's a prompt that after you register, there's a prompt that you have to write about, and there's also an interview process. Well, there was one last year. I don't know if we're not 100% sure if we're going to continue that. I don't know. But we do have an essay prompt that you must write about, and yeah.
Excellent, excellent. There's a GPA, I think, cutoff as well, right?
Not necessarily a GPA cutoff, but if you are, if we decide to like allow you into Hidri, which we want to allow as many people as our resources can allow us, we make sure that we check report cards every 6 weeks, and it's a B average or above.
Wow.
And if you have a C, then we like work with you to improve that. And then if we can't improve it, then you have to take some time off because school comes first.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. And there's so few organizations that are actually doing that extensively, and to know that an organization that is all volunteer run, you know, with
impressive.
It's just
Impressive
very impressive, very impressive. As far as this is the last sort of unscripted question, guys, but as far as sort of the fees to be involved, what are the fees? I know that you said there's SAT prep, and I think you said it was free, but like, what are the fees to be involved? What does it cost to be involved?
Well, there's a $20 annual fee that everyone pays at the beginning of the year, and then it's $5 every month of the year. So we meet 9 times a year. Like 9 out of the 12 months is like where we actually consider them to be our like meeting months, even though we do function year round. So that would be $45 throughout the year.
Excellent, excellent.
To the 20.
Absolutely. Just so our parents out there know that this is not that big of a financial burden at all. So you should bring your kids, and guys, young people, if you're listening to this, definitely think about joining. It's a great group. You want to say something, Famo?
I was going to just go back on their experience. I remember me and Alex joined you guys for the Habitat for Humanity, and I think last year I joined you guys for the help out the homeless, the shelter. What was your favorite event outside of the community you guys did so far?
I know you guys have done some like volunteer events, right? Besides the Habitat for Humanity. Yeah.
Well, I personally like the car washes that we do.
Yeah.
And benefit are also not just us, but back home, and that's my favorite thing to do usually in the summer. It's nice and hot, and yeah.
Very cool, very cool. Car washes are always fun. So as far as, let's take a step back. Let's talk about how Hidri has benefited the community. So you guys have run through a lot of different programs and events you guys do throughout the year, obviously of great benefit. How do you think what you guys do year in and year out benefits the greater community?
Well, I think it benefits the community because us as Eritreans, we have become united now, and we're actually learning our roots and heritage in history classes that we take during our Hidri meetings. And also, we have these free resources, like Sihan was saying earlier. We've been taking SAT classes, prep classes, and they've been helping us with that, too.
That's great. That's great. Yep. So you guys are creating smarter Eritrean youth, people who are more conscious about their country and their heritage. That's great, Filmo.
That is definitely great. I wish I had it when I was young.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not to say you're not conscious and patriotic right now. You are. So as far as, you talked about some of the benefits that the community as a whole feel, and I think everything from, I'm sure if we were to try and measure that, I'm sure you guys have an impact on everything from like higher SAT scores to higher grades semester by semester. If you can talk about how Hidri has benefited you personally. You guys have been involved for a while now, and long enough to take leadership positions and be heavily involved throughout all the events that Hidri does throughout the year. How have you guys personally benefited in Hidri, and then how has it helped you in other areas of life?
Well, basically, It helped me learn more about my culture and my more about Eritrea, and it also helped me become a better leader, and my leadership skills have gotten better, I guess, with these new members running around. And also we have, especially the whole history lessons. Those I benefit from those a lot. Learn more about our people and our struggles and all that great stuff.
Okay, great. Anybody else wanted to add to that?
Yeah, I'll add to that. Me personally, it's to think of how my going through high school would be compared to like not having Hidri. It's so drastic. Like Hidri first started when I was a freshman, and experience has just been like inspiring. I've had the opportunity to meet so many people with common and to understand who I am and where I'm going, and like that guiding force. It really does help.
Beautiful, beautiful. Saying hopefully you don't cut. I think you were starting to cut out a little bit, so I would say check your signal just to make sure you don't cut out.
Yeah, the single.
So that's great. So does anybody else want to add to that as far as personal benefits?
Yeah, I do. My name's Aldo.
Okay, go ahead, Abel.
I guess Hidri helped me out with my identity source, I guess, because maybe when you go to school or church or somewhere else outside of the Eritrean community, people ask you who you are, and I guess Hidri benefited me from that to actually, like, tell them where I am and where I came from. And just like Aldo CM said, it kind of gave us, like, a leadership role and helped me out with school, with the SAT classes and the Big Brother, Big Sister program. And I guess that's pretty much it.
Impressive.
Hidri just pretty much helped us out overall.
Nice.
Going back to basically your overall experience, I understand that you guys do a lot of concerts and dance and cultural events. How many hours do you guys practice each weekend? Or
oh man,
don't get him started.
Yeah, it may seem like a lot, just like number wise, but honestly, when we're there all together, time really does fly by.
Interesting.
Excellent. And I know you guys have been practicing really hard for this upcoming event, the benefit dinner. Do you guys want to talk to us a little bit about that?
What can we expect? Is it a surprise? Is there something planned?
Can you guys not say anything, or what's going on?
Yeah, my name's Aldo.
Is
that Abel Gurmai or Abel Gurmai?
Oh, yeah, it's Aldo Gurmai.
That's Gurmai.
Okay, good one.
Right.
Okay.
This year's benefit dinner. It's a huge showcase for all of us Eritrean kids in Dallas, and it's really gonna be different from last year. This year we're gonna have a big showcase, not just like dancing overall. We're having singing and an acting showcase. Will be really good for the parents to see, and
yes. Oh yes.
And all the proceeds will go directly towards Hidri and our programs. So that'll be really good for us if you can come and see. And overall, it's going to show us it's going to show you guys our talent about Hidri and our achievements and our combined efforts.
That's great. And I
Can't wait.
Absolutely. And for any of our listeners who've been following Hidri on Facebook, with the pictures and videos from its members and from the coordinators and just overall online, there's some intense choreography happening. It's professional quality. It's beautiful. A lot of hours of practice went into this.
There's a lot of talent in the Hidri program.
Absolutely. Yeah, there are, speaking of which, there are people who play instruments, right? Within Hidri?
Yeah.
Violin. Somebody's playing the violin, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't want to give too much away, but that's great.
Keep this on
Can I add something?
Go ahead.
Yes,
go
please.
Okay, so the One People, One Heart benefit dinner, that's our theme like every year.
Mm-hmm.
This year it's specifically like our specific theme is Divided Yet One. So I can't really give much away about it, but it will get you guys thinking. And we really hope that the community will be able to unite over this dinner and enjoy both the cultural aspect as well as like the fact that the youth is portraying all of this amazing. But the benefit dinner in general every year, it's designed to display the talents of young Eritreans and introduce all of our charitable programs to the community. It is pretty secretive right now, but I'm telling you, you guys only have 5 days left, and then you guys will be in on it too.
Impressive. For those listening right now, make sure you get the ticket. If you haven't gotten the ticket, you'll get the food and also the entertainment, and definitely help a youthful group in Dallas. Trying to do very good, positive thing in the community.
Absolutely, absolutely. And we have a few minutes before we have to cut you guys off. Did anybody want to add anything about Hidri, about their experiences, how they've benefited, what they expect out of Hidri for the coming year?
Yes, I would like to add. So we've been preparing for months, and we have so much talent to share. So what I want to say is, Amen.
Amen. Beautiful, beautiful. Filmo, did you want to add anything?
I understand you guys have like the donation online that was going for a couple weeks, and you guys surpassed the goal. How does that? How do you guys feel about people from around the country donating and helping out?
I think around the world too. Actually,
Yeah.
You had members like YPJ members from like Europe donating.
Very impressive effort.
Yeah.
How does that make you guys feel?
It's honestly so amazing because whenever we're at practice or we're planning stuff at our meetings, we really don't think of ourselves as some national phenomenon or anything like that. So for us to even set a goal of 1,300, we were like, are we even going to meet it? And then when we passed it in 4 days, that was just an incredible feeling. Also, this benefit dinner specifically is going to be focusing on celebrating the past, present, and the future.
Beautiful, beautiful. So we are going to have to wrap up soon, guys. If you guys wanted to add anything, feel free. Wanted to ask one final question, and this is really free flow. Feel free to respond however you guys want to, or really not at all. But Hidri is a growing force nationally. We're seeing chapters not only here in Dallas, but also in Philadelphia. Atlanta used to have a Big Brothers, Big Sisters program. DC has a thriving Hidri group. I think Seattle as well, and we're seeing it in Cali too, all over Cali. What do you guys hope for Hidri, not just in your own city, but nationally and maybe even globally? What do you guys want to see out of Hidri as a national entity, as a global force? To use your wording, Sahin.
Well, honestly, we just want to be able to see the Eritrean youth specifically be able to step up to the plate and follow in the footsteps of those who worked so hard to be able to call ourselves Eritrean. Everything to the martyrs and to our parents. So to see people our age who have grown up in America who don't really particularly understand everything that our parents have seen firsthand, it's really inspiring, and I really hope that people and kids across the nation start up Hidris, and we can make a difference, even though most people would like to say since we're young we can't do anything, but I beg to differ.
Great closing segment. That's Alba saying, oh yeah. So, great segment, guys. Very happy, very proud to have you guys on. You guys are doing great work. And if anything you want to say for closing words?
Yeah, we're definitely proud of you guys. Can't wait for the show. Keep up the good work. Can't wait for the show.
Excellent, excellent. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks.
Filmon, what do you think, man? Awesome, just a great group overall.
I am really inspired by the Hidri movement. Especially, Dallas is leading it, but overall, the Hidri, focusing on the Hidri, the younger kids, is an impressive effort by Fanan, Rasom, and all these people involved helping the Hidri program.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think just one quick announcement on the Hidri benefit dinner. Do you want to say all the stats again about where to get tickets, all the event?
Oh, make sure you go to Hidri Dallas chapter Facebook, or make sure to hit up Fanan Rusom and find her on Facebook as well. That's just find her on Facebook if you want tickets. Reserve your tickets.
HidriDallas@gmail.com, HidriDallas.org as well.
Yeah.
For buying tickets online. From did you have any last announcements before we closed out?
Yeah, the location for the benefit dinner, it's, again, we have to repeat it, Grand Hotel, 7815 LBJ Freeway, Dallas, Texas.
And for those of you around the world who are listening in who cannot attend, we will be sure to have multiple video segments streaming online. Well, not streaming, but uploaded on YouTube for your viewing pleasure.
I can't wait. I can't wait to see it.
Definitely. Okay, guys, we are signing off. Thank you again for listening in to Youth Hour.